Okay, let's call the January 15th board meeting to order. First on the agenda will be Pledge of Allegiance, led by board member Lisa Moore.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Could everybody join us in a moment of silence, please? Okay. First will be the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Taj. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Oh, let's vote on that. Thank you. All in favor of the motion on the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? What will we do with that, Ms. Mike? Okay, consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Second?
Second.
Mr. Jordan, thank you. All in favor of the motion on the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Number 6.
Okay.
Recognition.
All right. Recognition. Rutherford County Schools would like to congratulate the following individual on their new position. Ms. Monica Wilkerson, principal of David Urey, will be starting next year. She's currently at Rock Springs Elementary as assistant principal. Been there for 5 years. I think she's got 17 years in education. And Ms. Wilkerson, would you come on up front here and kind of give us a little overview of everything?
Good afternoon. I'm Monica Wilkerson. I am at Rock Springs Elementary. This is middle of my 6th year, 17 years in Rutherford County. Thank you again to Mr. Spurlock for this opportunity. I look forward to ending David Urey with Mr. Bolden and the excellence he's put forth there. And I'm super excited about the journey we're taking with the rezoning. So thank you again for that opportunity. And thank you, board members, for everything you do for our students. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Much.
Okay. Number 7, collaborative conference and committee change.
Yeah, we had a one member, Mrs. Nivea Serrano, is taking a position with ACT. So we, pursuant to section 49-5605, the Board of Education is required to appoint management personnel to serve on the committee following a majority vote in favor of collaborative conferencing. One member of the previously appointed management personnel is resigning her position. Recommend a motion to approve Mrs. Suzanne Stansberry as a Board of Education representative for the Collaborative Conferencing Committee as the replacement member to Mrs. Nivea Serrano.
Okay. Motion on.
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am. Second?
Second.
Johnson? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Number 8.
Okay, we're going to approval of community use of facility waivers is tab 2. And what we'll do is we'll take each one of these individually. There's 6 of these are seeking approval for exemption. Pursuant to Board Policy 3.206, public education schools and institutions, post-secondary education institutions, private universities and colleges, governmental entities or agencies that provide benefits to the Rutherford County school system or have an in-kind relationship approved by the director of schools may request the Board of Education to allow an exemption from the use of facilities fee, which the board may allow or deny based upon details of specific requests. Barfield, Cub Scouts Pack 197, meeting on January the 15th through the 19th, and May the 13th through the 19th, Monday and Thursdays from 6 to 8:30 p.m. In the cafeteria, calculated fees equal $18 an hour. All right, we have a recommended motion to approve this entity for an exemption from the fees.
A motion on that?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Second?
Second.
Ms. Moore, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Am I seeing the same one there? Is
Thank you. Pinewood Derby.
Okay,
So it's
gotcha.
a different exemption.
All right. Cub Scouts Pack 197, Pinewood Derby. Be use of the facilities from January 19th through May the 25th. Cafeteria calculated fees are $18 an hour. Recommend motion to approve the exemption from the fees.
Have a motion on exempting this group.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Thank you, Mr. Hodge. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next one is Homer Pittard Campus. Girl Scouts Troop 1774 troop meetings from January 15th to the 19th, May the 25th, 19, in the cafeteria. Cafeteria fees equal $18 an hour. Recommend a motion to approve this group as an exemption from the fees.
Have a motion to approve that.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, this next one is, I understand it is a youth league baseball, and with the majority of them are our students. Is that right, Ms. Bush? And the coach is actually is it one of the Siegel coaches?
Yes, the Siegel head coach. It's also
All right, so what they're asking here, this youth league practice from January 15th through July 30th of 19, the use of the baseball and softball facilities, calculated fees at $18 an hour. Recommend motion to approve this group from exemption of fees.
Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Second? Johnson? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Question,
Oh, okay.
discussion, please.
Is this not one of the groups that we said it was
This would be a student group that would it would be a junior league type of baseball group that wouldn't necessarily meet the definition. It's just a majority of students that are on this team, and it's led by the coach. So it would be within the board's discretion to determine whether they wanted to grant that waiver on that basis.
But there are some that are on this team that are not students, and it's not a school-sponsored team, correct, specifically, correct?
I don't know the number of students that are on the team. I know it's a majority of students that are our students, but no, it is not a school-sponsored team.
Okay.
I would point out that I think we've had one of these come up before in basketball, and it was mixed. You know, it wasn't all of our students. That would be my concern.
yeah, I'm just concerned we're not following the policy. So,
And correct me, Ms. Bush, if I'm not wrong, but you brought it up so that they would be aware of it. But no one is actually.
No, we do not recommend the approval. We have stopped doing that. I am going to include that in the next policy committee meeting, that we authorize the director of schools or his designee to make recommendations based on a procedure developed by the director of schools. But until we have that in place, our office does not have the authority to make those determinations. So that's why we're going individually for each one. So it would not be my recommendation to adopt this just based on the fact that for consistency's sake, we have not adopted the others in the past.
Any other questions? Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
No.
Okay, motion fails. Okay, next one.
All right, Siegel High, Middle Tennessee Vocal Association Honors Regional Choir Auditions from October the 18th to October 20th. 10 classrooms, auditorium, and cafeteria. Calculated fees is $450 an hour for classrooms and $36 an hour for cafeteria and auditorium combined. I recommend motion to approve the following group for the lack of paying the fees. Exemption.
Any questions?
Yeah, I would have the same question as the prior one for Ms. Bush.
This, again, is a majority of our students. I would say it'd be close to, it's all made up of all of our students, but it is an outside entity or group that does, it's kind of like an honors choir, I think is what I would compare it to. And Mr. Spurlock may know more because I think it affects high school. Yeah. But it does, it's a majority of our students, if not all of our students who are in choir, do audition for this. So it would be a group that definitely Rutherford County Schools would benefit from them having the choral audition here. That being said, it would be within the board's discretion to determine whether to grant this group a waiver.
This would designate them if they made the all region honors choir to go on and compete for higher honors. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Is there a difference between this one and the last one that we just turned down?
Well, with the last one, we were talking about athletic teams competing. This is not anything to do with this organization here. Actually identifies those that qualify for. It's extracurricular. It is, but it's also embedded in some of the curriculum part of it as far as their classes, and so they're recognized in terms of at the end and being in an honors choir and so forth and so on. It could open up some additional opportunities for them going to the state and things of that nature.
Is this association making money off this event?
That I'm not sure of. I know that they are a nonprofit event, but I'm not sure where the money would go to because the association is asking to use it so late in October. As we've got a few months to decide whether we want to do that or not. We can bring it up at the next meeting, and I can find that information out for you if the board would prefer to do that.
And this is all our students, right?
Majority of, I can't speak directly to, it may be other schools.
I think it's the Middle Tennessee, some of the surrounding areas. We do have, since this is so, it's in the fall.
Yes.
So we've got some time to work with this.
Yeah, I'd recommend we put this one off until we get more information.
Right. All right. I would agree on that one.
I will seek clarification and bring it back at the next meeting.
Thank you. Okay. Wilson Elementary, I guess, is next.
Wilson Elementary Girl Scout Daisy Troop meeting, January the 15th and 19th through May the 25th, 19 on Thursdays, 5:15 to 6:15. The cafeteria calculated fees are $18 a week. The motion to approve exemption from paying the fees.
Any questions on that? Okay, we have a motion to,
Second. Mr. Hodge made a motion.
okay, thank you, Mr. Hodge, Mr. Young. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On these Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, are we making them aware that we are changing our policy?
Yes, we have a notice letter prepared and we are gathering addresses as we speak. So we are hoping to have that letter out by the end of the month.
Okay, number 9.
All right, number 9, 2019 RCS Summer Conference. You'll find it on tab 3, broken down by the cost. The instructional department is requesting approval for the contract with staff development for educators for the annual teacher training RCS Summer Conference to be held on July the 23rd and the 24th of 2019. The theme for this two-day conference this year is Empower Teachers, Empower Students. The Rcs Summer Conference is designed for approximately 1,100 pre-K through 12th grade educators and administrators. There are 15 national presenters scheduled and plans for utilizing 33 practitioners from Rutherford County Schools. The total Title II contract expenditure is $219,150. Recommend approval to the contract with staff development for educators for the 2019 RCS Summer Conference, Empower Teachers, Empower Students at the cost of $219,150 as presented. All expenses will be paid with Title II funds.
Any questions? Okay. Entertain a motion on that.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Ms. Michaels, we have any visitors? Okay. Is there any insurance update?
We have not had a date set. Usually it's the 24th of January would be our normal dates. We're waiting for the date.
Thank you, ma'am. Director's update.
As I mentioned last evening, we are going to be receiving somewhere around $200,000 worth of Fanuc robots for the mechatronics program at Oakland High School. We thank Nissan for donating those. We will be bringing those over. Will incur a little cost there, but for $200,000, that's a pretty good deal. And we thank Nissan, like I said, for doing that. And we look forward to continue working with our industry partners as we develop more of our career and technical education programs. The other thing would be, I'd like to thank our commission. I'd like to thank our school board for the addition at Oakland Middle School. I know someone said, you know, we're not frivolous with our money. It's a nice building, but there's no bells and whistles. I think we build our schools for, when we take the cost, we build our schools pretty much, you know, below everyone else. You know, I was looking at the school building that the high school they're building over in Wilson County. It's on like 74 acres, 3 stories, 358,000 square feet. And that breaks down to a tune of somewhere around $290 a square foot, which we're doing much lower than that. So I think that we're doing a great job here in order of holding down the cost in a system that's growing as fast as we are. So I applaud those that are involved in that and those that are looking out for our taxpayers and at the same time providing opportunities for young people to get out of portables and to get into classrooms that are safe and orderly and conducive to learning.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, TLN, Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a brief report. Of course, a lot going on right now. I think everybody's aware that the General Assembly, our new General Assembly, actually convened last week on the 8th of January. This week, right now, the House is in, I guess, what they call conference planning, but they are supposed to go back into session next Wednesday and Thursday. They have not determined a bill filing deadline yet, has not been established, so we're still waiting on that. There have been and are going to continue to be, I guess, a lot of changes. Of course, we've had a lot of changes in the legislative representatives in of itself, but there are also a lot of changes going on in the committees and the appointments that are being made for the education committees, both in the House and in the Senate. It says that I've got a note here. It says the rules adopted by the House of Representatives will make substantial changes to how the House considers education legislation. The new Speaker, Cassida, has appointed new chairman, but he also has established some subcommittees, some different things that we haven't seen before. So we're kind of going to wait a little bit and try to learn a little bit more before we flesh that out in more detail with a report. But I did want to mention that the new education committees, first of all, in the House, has a new chair of that committee, and it's Representative Mark White. He's a Republican from Memphis. The subcommittees that CASET is establishing are broken down as education administration, K through 12, curriculum testing and innovation, and then higher education. On the Senate side, Dolores Gresham from Somerville will be returning as the Senate Education Committee Chair, which I think everybody pretty much expected. On another note, as far as appointments that I want to make sure I mention and that I'm really pleased about, is that one of our own Rutherford County new legislators has been appointed to the House Education Committee, and that's Charlie Baum. And I'm really excited and encouraged by that. I've had some conversations with, I keep wanting to call him Commissioner, but Representative Baum already, and I know that he has expressed a desire to work with us and to listen to us, and I believe that we're going to have his ear and that he will be an ally for us in the House. So I was tickled that he was appointed and that we've got a Rutherford County representative in the legislature on one of those committees now. So there were several new bills in the education arena that were introduced last week, and again, you know, it's really early in the game, so whether or not these are really going to go anywhere, if they're going to flesh out, or, you know, as we know, sometimes they can morph into completely different things as time moves on. But I'll just run through these real quick. A House bill by Reedy that was filed, and this one is pretty interesting. It's got students, as introduced, add students who attended non-public or home schools for the preceding school year to the category of students that will be eligible for their parents to participate in individualized education account programs. I'm going to do a little more research as to exactly what the intent and meaning behind that is, because it is a little, Mr. Spurlock, do you know something more about that?
That was kind of like what Indiana started out, where if you had not attended a public school, you were not eligible for the voucher. Well, that's what that's saying, that you will, because Indiana came back later on and they did make those available for parents of students whose student was in a private school from inception going into. So that's what. To be eligible for vouchers. Okay, well, that's definitely one we want to keep an eye on then, because that's obviously of great concern, and I think they're probably talking, and that's, everyone is very aware that vouchers are going to be are going to be a big topic again this year, and so we are watching and keeping on it closely and doing what we can. There is some conversation out there amongst some of the groups that it's kind of going to be rebranded, perhaps to be referred to as, you know, spending accounts, student spending accounts versus vouchers, but to me, it's a little bit like the rebranding of Common Core, and to coin a phrase that maybe really isn't a nice thing to say in a board meeting, but it's a little bit like putting lipstick on the pig. You know, we're changing the name, but things are virtually still the same, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that one. Thank you for that, Mr. Spurlock. Another House bill introduced by Reedy, local education agencies, it says as introduced, disqualifies relatives of an LEA's director of schools, a member of the LEA's central office staff, or a member of the LEA's Board of Education from serving as a member of the LEA's Board of Education. Said it would exempt members of a local Board of Education who are currently serving a term on the board for which they were elected. Reedy again, another House bill, Education Department of it says, as introduced, requires the departments to pay for certain background investigations conducted by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Any more detail at all about that, Mr. Spurlock? I mean, is that saying that they're going to start paying for teacher background checks? I mean, yeah, it sounds like it, but I'm going to hold my breath.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Another one that was introduced, a bill that was introduced by Carr, Representative Carr, local education agencies. As introduced, it says allows Board of Education to authorize a teacher, student, employer, or other persons employed by the LEA to raise funds for Mr. Henvig is not here. Okay, because this one's kind of interesting. I don't know if Kim's here, if anybody from our accounting department. Or another person employed by the LEA to raise funds for non-educational purposes. It says it will require the local Board of Education that authorizes the funds to be raised for non-educational purposes to create policies and procedures for the receipt, disbursement, and accounting of funds raised. So that might be something that we obviously need to keep an eye on and make him aware of as well. More work for our accounting department. I'm sure they'll be thrilled. Local education agencies, a House bill introduced by Van Huss. I'm not familiar with him. As introduced, changes from 10 days to 10 business days, the period for which public notice must be given in advance of an LEA's acceptance of bids for contracts of the construction of a school building or in addition to existing school building, the cost of which would exceed $10,000. I don't know that that's really all that significant, is it, changing it from just the wording of 10 days to 10 business days?
Pretty much follow that.
I'm sure we will have a lot more to report on at the next board meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Okay, federal relations. Mr. Hodge?
I don't have a thing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, general discussion. Anybody got anything?
Couple of things, Mr. Chairman. I want to refer the board to an article in this morning's USA Today. If you take it or could get it, it's front page. It's about the Los Angeles teachers, and I would suggest that you pay particular attention to paragraph 6 in that report. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I wanted to just put it out there for whatever discussion that you might want, and maybe a motion from me could be following, but I'd like for us to at least consider meeting at 4:30 rather than our traditional meeting of 5 o'clock. And that, actually, I don't think that's a traditional meeting time, but it has been for the last few years. Let's put it that way. I see really no particular reason for 5 o'clock, although I do know that the staff are usually all here, and most of them here tonight. This is just adding really 30 minutes to their day. But at any rate, I'd like to put that up for discussion, see if anybody has anything they might want to say about us meeting at 4:30. I would also think that if we had a meeting where or perhaps this would be guesswork, but we thought we were going to have a lot of public input and 4:30 was a problem, we could change it to 5 o'clock if we wanted to do that. But I just thought I'd throw that out there and just open up the floor for whatever discussion you want to entertain us with.
I'll just speak from my own self. Right now, I shut off at 3 o'clock just to get out here at 5 o'clock. And moving it up another half hour, I'll be shutting off at 2:30. So that's just my thought. I can do it if I have to, but like I said, it just cuts my day that much shorter. So, and I think keeping the meetings at 5 benefits the general public. That's just my 2 cents.
Mr. Hodge? Anybody else?
Not to put Mr. Reed on the spot, but he does have some other commitments during the day. Is that something that would interfere with your schedule?
And I think I would actually add an addendum to that question of, from a legal standpoint, do you think that presents a concern at all?
Well, I'll make, if it's 4:30 or 5, I'll make the meetings wherever they are. I think it is more probably conducive for the public to come at 5 generally than 4:30. It's just easier for people to get off work and get here by 5 than 4:30, I think, in general. So there's no legal requirement you have a meeting any certain time. So there's no legal statute that says you have to have a meeting at 4:30 or 5 or any certain time. But generally, you want to have a meeting just that's conducive to the public and one that people who want to attend the meeting can attend. So it's within the board's discretion what you want to do, whether it be 4:30 or 5. So it's been, years ago we had it at 7 o'clock. So, and it got moved up to 5 o'clock. So, because we had meetings, I had one meeting, I remember Joyce may have been here then, went to like 1:30 a.m. So, at one time, it started at 7. So, so Joyce and I were there those days. So, so I'm not advocating for 7 p.m. for sure. So I think 5 is a vast improvement over 7. So whether you want to do 4:30 or not, it's up to your the board's discretion what you guys think on it.
Well, you know, from my perspective, I mean, I have some flexibility since I am self-employed. There might be times that it might be a bit of a challenge depending on meetings, but I certainly, my preference would be earlier if we can, but I certainly, to Mr. Hodges' point, would not want to see it interfere with anyone's obligations or commitments to their businesses or their employment for sure. So from a selfish standpoint, we've got some baseball games coming up during the spring that I would really love to get out of here early to see my son pitch at, but, you know, we'll do whatever we need to do. I'm fine either way.
Ms. Moore, anybody else?
I would echo that. I'm pretty flexible, but whichever is fine. Is it a budget? Is there a budget concern? Does the central office come in later that day when they have board meetings?
No slack for the central office staff. Well, I'll throw my 2 cents worth in. I would probably like meeting at 4:30, but I think it would probably be better for the public if stay at 5 o'clock. Being retired, I can come anytime. So I'm going to leave that up to the working people. Anybody else?
Well, I don't think we have a general consensus here, and so since we don't, let's leave it alone, at least for now.
Leave it alone?
That's, all right. I don't intend to do anything. If somebody else does, that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Anyone else? Our next meeting. 31st.
Policy meeting. Next week, right?
23rd's policy, 31st board meeting, right? 29th's work session. All right.
Mr. Chairman, one thing I meant to mention during my TLN report is there is a meeting tonight, a commission meeting. Is it the steering committee is meeting with the legislature. I just pulled it up online, and interestingly enough, they've got it scheduled for the 17th. So I guess the website is not correct, because I'm pretty sure it is tonight.
They started it, they pushed it up to 4:30. That's the reason why Mr. Sandvig and Mr. Lee aren't here.
Okay, because I know there were several of us that were planning on attending, so hopefully we'll still be able to get up there before it's over, so.
Okay. Policy meeting on the 23rd, work session 29th, board meeting 31st. All at 5 o'clock, correct? Anybody else? Okay. There's nothing else. We are adjourned.
That's it.